Sometimes, do you just wish your mind would shut up? Today I'm going to show you how to stop excessive thinking right in its tracks, easily. Check this out. Welcome to the Power of Quiet, showing you a fast and easy way to get control over your mind, your emotions, your body, and ultimately your world. And if you're new here, hit subscribe. You're going to love our approach. And if you already love our approach, you love what we do here, then please share this content. Let's spread this way of getting positive, getting loving, getting abundant and harmonious, because it's within all of us. And we can share this message and spread this love. Now, one of the things I want to focus on today is this struggle that we all go through, where our mind just will not shut up. And I'm sure you've sat there thinking, oh my God, my mind is just driving me crazy. Why won't it stop? Sometimes it's keeping you up at night. Sometimes it's just distracting you when you need to concentrate on a topic or, a task that you have to do. So how do you control your mind? Well, it starts by examining what the mind is in the first place, because most of us rarely stop and examine what our mind is. We have a whole different relationship that is a false relationship that we've been living under. And if we just examine our mind, what is the mind? Really, what is it? It's just a sound in your head, right? It's just a voice that's talking to you. And for all you know, that voice has been with you forever, since you came into this world. It's been there, giving you advice, telling you what to do, guiding you. It's been there to keep you company, to entertain you. But where'd this voice come from? Who gave it to you? It's your mind, right? It's your voice. It belongs to you. It doesn't belong to anybody else but you. So this idea of my mind is driving me crazy. Well, right there, just in that statement, you're admitting it's your mind. So maybe, since it belongs to you, it's your mind, you created that thing. You created that monster that won't shut up. And it's time to recognize that you're the owner. And it's time to start acting like you're the owner, being the owner. But how do you do that? How do you start owning your mind, especially when it seems to own you most of the time? Well, it goes back to examining what the mind is. Now, the mind, if you really look at it closely, all it is just a recording and playback machine. That's it. All it does, all that its function is to record everything, store it in, and then play it back to you, whether you want to listen to it or not. So, for example, you're going through your day. You're having a great time. You're happy. And then all of a sudden, just somebody comes along and they step on your feet, right? They say something rude to you, they act nasty, or they just give you a mean look. And what does your mind do all the rest of the day? What was that person's problem, right? Why did they say that to me? Was there something wrong with me? Oh, I should have told them what I thought of them. I wish I had the courage to say that. Or I wish I could have just changed that. Maybe I shouldn't have been there at that time. I should have avoided it, right? Your mind just goes into this spin of, conversation about it all the rest of the day, whether you want to listen to that garbage or not, right? And it's not even something that's relevant to you, right? But your mind just gets fixated on it. And that's what it does. It just records in whatever it sees, whatever's going on around you, and it plays that information back to you. Now, another key thing to notice is who's that mind talking to? Right? I mean, you got a voice that's talking to you. Who are you who's there listening to it? And just observe that for a moment. See, that part of you, it's still, it's silent, it's changeless, right? That silent part of you, whether you're looking at today or 10 years ago or when you were a kid, that silent, observing presence that's observing your life, that part of you never changes. So, you have a mind that's talking to you, and you have you who is the owner. So, coming from this position, like you're the owner, now as you can see it, here I am, there's me, and then there's my mind. And this mind, it obviously belongs to me, right? Nobody has this mind other than me. So maybe I created this thing. Now, how did I create this thing? How did I start putting in a bunch of noise? I mean, more than just the recording and playback stuff. What is it that I'm doing that's contributing to just this constant noise that won't shut up? Well, if you're familiar with a lot of the work that we do here, a lot of the videos, we focus here on a particular technique of recognizing where we're trying to figure things out. And it's something that we all do, right? We're always trying to figure things out, trying to solve problems, trying to get answers, trying to get solutions, to make our life work, to be smarter, or whatever, right? So it's something that we all engage in and we all value, this habit of figuring things out. But this right here is a major cause of having a noisy mind. And it's also something that is not necessary. It's not necessary for us to figure everything out. If we actually let that go, we'll start to see that we have the answers in us already for everything. That's something that, probably sounds pretty far out. It's something that the mind will not understand, but it's something that we can experience. And it's something I'm sure you've already experienced from time to time, where you're just in a place of, I know, right? You just get insights like that, answers just out of nowhere, like, where'd that come from? And that's a place that you can be in all the time, where your mind is nice and quiet, and you have answers for everything, easily. But let's look at this thing that we all do to figure things out and what it does to us. You see, when you're trying to figure something out, you're like putting a question to the mind. And the mind, it doesn't have any intelligence. It's just a recording and playback machine. It just records information in and plays it back. That's it. So you're taking this machine and saying, okay, give me a solution. And really what it's like an internet search spider. You're saying, okay, go find me this information. And that spider goes out and it crawls the World Wide Web. And basically, it doesn't stop crawling. It'll just keep looking and looking forever, right? As long as you have that window open, it's just going to keep looking. And the mind's the same way. It's just not going to stop, right? You pose that question, and it doesn't even matter. Like, even if you get an answer, your mind isn't satisfied. It's like, well, okay, that answer's good, but I'm still not satisfied with it. I need more information. I need to be totally confident, totally satisfied. Like, I'll give you an example. Say you might be trying to figure out in this time of, well, how do I travel or go on vacation? Things are still locked down. Maybe the lockdowns are lifted. I want to go, over here. Can I do it? What is the protocol? Will I be able to do it? Will it be easy? Will it be costly? And so, you have all these questions, and then your mind's going, okay, well, that's a lot of stuff I try to, need to get answers for. And so it's looking over here, looking over there. And it might find out, okay, oh, hey, the travel restrictions are lifted. But even with that information, you're still not satisfied. You're like, well, oh, sure, the travel restrictions are lifted right now, but they could close again. And then you're trying to figure out, are they going to close or not? And you're still insecure. You're still not satisfied. And you're still hungering for that information. You see, you put that instruction in your mind, go find me an answer, it will not stop. And we do this like 1,001 times every hour, going around trying to figure everything out. From, like, how do I have more freedom, more wealth and abundance in my life? Like major life issues. How do I fix this relationship that I'm having problems in? Or how do I fix this body problem that's been, plaguing me for the last 3 months? How do I, resolve that? Now, notice what goes on in your mind. Your mind is ready to say, yep, I'm here for you. I'll help you find an answer. Let's go look over here. Let's go read this. Let's go ask this expert. And it sends you all over the place, looking over here, looking over there. And like I said, even if you get some answers, the search does not end. It just keeps looking and looking and looking. And you're doing this for big things, like big life issues, like I just pointed out, like, how to have more freedom and abundance. But just little things all the time. Like I said, you do this 1,001 times every hour. And you'll notice that you're trying to figure little insignificant things out constantly. And where did these directions come from? Like, for example, go back to when you were a kid and there was somebody that you looked up to, maybe somebody that you liked and you wanted them to like you. And then you started to wonder, you started to try to figure out, well, what do they think about me? Do they like me? Right? Am I the type of person that they would, respond to, that they would want to be with? And that's perfectly legitimate thing to wonder, like especially when you're a little kid. Gee, what do they think about me? Right? You're trying to get their approval. So that goes into your mind. And back in that moment, it might have been somebody who was significant in your life, somebody that you really wanted to get to know and to get to like you, to have a relationship with maybe. But now, like decades later, that same program is still running. And it's running everywhere with everyone. So you'll catch yourself, like just with somebody that you're passing on the street, somebody you don't even know, somebody that you're never going to see again. And that thought goes to your mind. What do they think of me? Right? Do they like me? Am I respectable to them? When it's not even anything to waste mental energy on. But you see, that instruction, when it gets implanted for one thing, it just runs and runs and runs and starts running for everything. And this is why, when you pay attention, you'll see yourself just constantly trying to figure this thing out and this thing out and this other thing out. Like, what am I going to eat today? Am I going to like it? Am I going to be satisfied? Am I going to enjoy my lunch? Right? You're just figuring out stupid stuff. And this is what we have to contend with this noisy mind. It's just constantly trying to figure things out. So how do we stop this? How do we get this thing to settle down and not be in a place where we're just dumb, where we're just idiots with no answers, but be in a place where we don't have to think about anything, we're just nice and quiet, but we have answers for everything. Now, it goes back to recognizing who's the owner. Who does that mind belong to? Now that mind belongs to you. It's your mind, right? So take a look to see how you've been using your mind. What you've been asking it to do for you, to try to solve, to figure out for you. What's one of the things that you've been trying to figure out? Maybe it's a big life situation, right? Maybe you're struggling financially, or, there's just a limitation there and you're like, how do I get beyond that? How do I expand my lifestyle and do more with my life? And so you pose that question to your mind. And does it have an answer? Now, it might have some ideas, but if it had a real answer, you would resolve the situation. You would have that you were looking for. You would have that abundance. You would have that lifestyle. But this thing that you've been trying to figure out, how long have you been trying to figure it out? Months? Years? Decades? So all this time you've been trying to figure out that information and gathering information to solve this problem. You still don't have an answer. Now, when you start going down this road with your mind, eventually it will give you an answer. But notice the answer that it gives you. See, when you've been looking for that answer for months, years, decades, you've been looking over here, looking over there, and you still don't have a solution, you still don't have the results, what does your mind tell you to do? It suggests to you, beat yourself up. All right, that's the solution. You haven't been able to figure it out. You haven't solved the problem. Here's what I recommend. Beat yourself up. Disapprove of yourself. Judge yourself. Criticize yourself. Feel bad about yourself. Feel sorry for yourself. Right? It's all the same thing. Basically, your mind is telling you to disapprove of yourself. And boy, doesn't that create a lot of noise in your mind? And isn't a lot of that noise what you want to get away from? That self-criticism, that inner critic. And again, who created that? See, we act like we're victims to that. Oh, my mind is driving me crazy. It won't shut up. It's your mind. And it's your decision that you started in the first place to try to figure it out. Now, if that decision to try to figure it out, it hasn't gotten you the solution, only gotten you negative, then maybe going down that road was the wrong thing to do in the first place. But you can correct it right now. You can turn the whole thing around. First, just by deciding to go in the opposite direction. Now, whatever it is that you're trying to figure out, right? Again, let's look at it clearly. Do you have a solution, like a solution that you can implement, that you can just solve it, done, I don't have to think about it anymore? Or are you still trying to figure it out? All right, you're still trying to figure it out. And your mind doesn't have an answer. And look at what you're doing. See, your mind doesn't have an answer, doesn't know, but you keep asking it over and over and over and over and over again. Isn't that silly? It's like looking in an empty drawer for an answer that isn't there, yet you keep opening up that drawer again and again, looking in there. Oh, it's empty. Oh, but let's open it again. Oh, it's empty. You just keep doing it, nonstop. But once you recognize that it's empty, you could just leave that drawer shut. All right, I don't have to look there anymore. So can you see? Your mind doesn't have an answer. So just set that thing aside for a moment. Now, take a look to see if you've been beating yourself up, disapproving of yourself. Have you? Now let me ask you this. What does that do for you? How does that help you to beat yourself up? Does that give you an answer? Does that bring you to a positive outcome? Of course not. And who's doing it? Who's beating yourself up? You are, right? It's your decision. You're the owner. So if you're doing it, and it's not getting you anywhere positive whatsoever, now you can make a decision. I'm going to be positive and love myself, or I'm going to be negative and beat myself up. What do you decide? Now, when you look at things this way, when you just look at the plain, simple reality of what's going on, the choice is easy. It's much better to be positive and love yourself than just be beating yourself up all the time. So, if you're doing it now, could you let go of beating yourself up? Yes or no? See, it's just a decision. It's not complicated. It's super simple and super easy. Could you let go of disapproving of yourself? Just a little bit. And could you let go of beating yourself up a little bit more? Just a little bit. And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? And even more. And even more. And even more. And could you let go disapproving of yourself even more? And even more. And more. Now, it's okay. You've been doing this as a habit for a long, long time. Not just trying to figure things out, but also you've been indulging in this habit of beating yourself up for a long, long time. So you might not be able to reverse it immediately, but you just let a little bit of it go at a time. So could you let go of disapproving of yourself just a little bit more? And a little bit more. And could you let go disapproving of yourself a little bit more? And a little bit more. And could you let go disapproving of yourself even more? And even more. And even more. Now, take a check and see how you feel now. Notice a difference? Do you feel a little bit lighter? A little bit more positive, a little bit more at ease? So this is showing you just by making that simple decision. Yes, I can let that go. That's it. Yes. I let go of beating myself up. You get a little bit lighter, you get higher and higher and higher. So can you let go a little bit more? Just see if you're still trying to run back to your mind. Okay, I still need an answer. And see, right there, you're beating yourself up. Because look at who you are again. The silent, eternal presence that has no body. You know, that silent part of you, it's got no body, no name, no face. It's got no barriers, no limitations. So you, this infinite beingness, you're asking this dumb little computer that's nothing more than a recording and playback machine, like a tape recorder, how to live your life. That act alone is beating yourself up. Oh, I don't have any answers myself. I'm going to have this computer make all the decisions for me. That's silly. And just take a look to see if you've been beating yourself up overtly or just subtly even. And could you let that go? Because who's doing it? And what do you accomplish by doing it? And if you're doing it, you're not accomplishing anything, then could you let go of disapproving of yourself a little bit more? And could you let go disapproving of yourself a little bit more? And even more. And even more. And even more. And how do you feel now? Lighter? Clearer? And quieter, right? Notice your mind has settled down a little bit. All right, so now, simply because it's a good idea, could you give yourself some approval? Why not? And for no particular reason. Just because. Could you give yourself a little bit of love and approval? Just love yourself a little bit. And could you give yourself a little bit more approval? No reason, just because you're right here, right now. Could you give yourself a little bit more approval? And a little bit more. And more. And even more. And even more. How do you feel now? Lighter? Happier? Quieter? Now take a look at that solution that you were looking for. Take a look at that problem that you were looking at. And see if it's as big of a problem now as it was before. And see if it's more possible to find a solution now than a few moments ago. More just a sense of I can. And you might even just spontaneously get an answer. Oh, that, yes, I could do that. And see, it's just something that comes to you. When you get out of the mind that you created, and you're still creating literally every hour of every day, when you just move beyond all of that, you enter into an intelligence that's far greater than the mind. Now, some people may call this intuition. I simply call it knowingness. You see, when you're in your mind, it's all about questions, confusion, doubts, distrust. But when you're nice and quiet, it's just a state of knowingness. It might not even be logical, but it's like an inner conviction that you know you've had. And that conviction, despite all odds, it has allowed you to accomplish great things. You've done it. And you can do it all the time with everything. And this is something that you could just experience and explore and prove to yourself just by doing the simple little exercise that we've done here. So practice this and really pay attention to how much you're trying to figure things out every single day. Almost every minute. Just little stuff that's going on around you and stuff that doesn't have any relationship in your life anymore. You're trying to resolve a problem with somebody, from 10 years ago who you don't even see anymore. but you're still thinking about it. And you're still trying to win an argument. Right? So just notice that and keep applying just a simple practice and see where it takes you. All right? And again, if you're new here, subscribe. There's lots more just like this to show you who you are. And if you like this, you find that it's valuable, then I guarantee many others around you are going to find this valuable. They're going to love it. So please share this. And we'll see you on the next video.